In this video, you'll hear true horror stories that happened on New Year's Eve, where celebrations turned into terrifying experiences. I still think about what I'm about to say a lot, especially now that it's winter. It took place on New Year's Eve a while back. I was going to my parents' house to spend New Year's with them. They live in upstate Pennsylvania, which is a few hours away. I left in the late afternoon because I thought I'd have plenty of time to get there. It was meant to be easy to drive. I really like long drives, and a nice quiet drive would have given me much needed time to think. But the weather had other ideas. About an hour into my drive, it started to snow. There were only a few flakes on the glass at first, so there was no need to worry. I actually thought the snow was pretty, but I think I may have cursed myself. It snowed harder as I drove farther. It kept falling until I was in the middle of a real storm. It became very slippery on the highway and it was almost impossible to see. My little sedan doesn't do well in snow, so when the tires started to slip on even the smallest bumps, I knew I had to stop. It wasn't worth putting my life at risk. I was to blame because I didn't plan the drive better. Not that there were many cars going by, but I found a spot on the side, well away from the road. When I texted my parents about what was going on, they were really worried. I kept telling myself that the storm would end soon, and when I got tired, I decided to call the cops if it still hadn't. It made me feel bad to think about spending the night in the car. I didn't want to use up too much gas trying to stay warm, and I was afraid that leaving the lights or heat on for too long would kill the battery. I sat there and tried to save as much gas as I could by turning the engine on and off several times. Outside, the wind howled. I was beginning to feel the weight of being alone when I looked back and saw headlights cutting through the storm behind me. I wanted to jump for joy so badly. A snowplow pulled up next to me. I was saved. The driver got out of his car and I rolled down my window. He looked old, maybe in his late 50s. He looked good. His thick jacket was pulled down over his ears and he wore a black knit hat. Although I tried to convince them that everything would be fine, I wasn't really sure myself. I thought I'd wait out the worst of the storm in the hopes that it would end, but the snow kept coming down. From that point on, things seemed to get worse. It never stopped, building up around the car and on the road ahead. So it became clear after about an hour. That night, I wasn't going anywhere. My dad said he would try to reach out to me, but I told him that was a death wish. I told them that I would call the cops if the snow didn't stop, which they reluctantly agreed was a good idea. I didn't want to call the police and I didn't have an A, so that wasn't a choice either. I grabbed my bag and got into the plow's cab. At first the warmth felt good. As I fell into the water, I could feel the stress in my shoulders starting to go away. I told him I was going to my folks' house when he asked me where I was going. He nodded again after I told him what to do, but didn't say much else. I wasn't unhappy with the silence at first, but as the minutes went by, I became more so. That's when I saw something strange. It wasn't like he was driving toward my parents' house. It was clear to me because the navigation was clearly pointing in the wrong way. I mean, we were on a nearby road. You could only go one of two ways. In the calmest voice I could make, I asked him if we were on the right track. But I don't think I did a good job because when I asked him a question, I could tell his mood changed a little. We were going to take a small detour because the back roads would be better than the highway, but he didn't look at me first. It wasn't like I knew the area well enough to argue, but the way he said it made my stomach turn. He did get off the highway after we drove a little longer. He began driving down a back road. I thought I was just being paranoid because the GPS said we were going in the right way. There was still a feeling in my gut that he was not there, so I looked around the cab more carefully. If that makes sense, I remember thinking that his face was very wrinkled. It looked worn, like he had lived in hard conditions for decades. There was something odd about the way he looked at me for a long time before he said anything. He finally spoke up and asked me if I was okay. His voice was very rough, like someone who smoked, and it was actually pretty annoying. I tried to be nice while keeping my voice calm when I told him I didn't think my car could handle the weather. With that nod, he told me I wouldn't get very far in this storm, especially in my car. He looked like he was thinking about what to say for a moment. He looked around my back seat like he was looking for something. He offered to give me a ride just as I was about to answer. I was unsure. I didn't know him, and he did seem a little off, but he seemed like a good person. Also, it would have been silly for me to stay with my car all night. He said it would be fine to drive me where I needed to go. After that, I asked him what I should do with my car. He just shrugged and told me to leave it. I agreed after a moment. There were lots of red flags. Near his feet, empty booze bottles rolled around on the floor. I saw a knife stuck between the seats and torn up maps stuffed into the side bags. My heart began to beat fast. Ever have that feeling where your heart is beating so fast you're afraid other people can hear it? That's what was going on with me. I was also sure at that point that we weren't going in the right direction. Since he didn't look at the GPS, he missed turn after turn, so it kept compensating. As we kept going, I was freaking out. In the distance, I saw a house. I hadn't seen another one for miles. I had to do something. It helped me stay alive. Once we were closer, I took a deep breath, grabbed the door handle, and kicked it open as hard as I could. Even though the cold air hit me hard, I didn't stop. When I hit the ground, my leg hurt really badly. It didn't bother me though. It was time for me to get up and run toward the house. When I turned around, I saw the man moving around in the glove box while yelling something at me. I thought they were going for a gun. After that, I didn't look back. I ran quickly through the snow, being careful not to slip, until I got to the house. I screamed for help and banged on the door. A man and a woman jumped on it and pulled me inside. I fell to the ground and tried to catch my breath. They didn't ask any questions after I told them what had happened. They called the police. The snowplow was gone by the time the police got there. They said they'd keep an eye out and search the area, but it would be hard to find him in that storm. They were willing to drive me to my parents' house and even help me call for a tow truck. I was very thankful. When my dad found out, he was very angry. Since then, I haven't driven in the snow. What might have happened if I hadn't jumped out of the car at that time is something I always think about. Thank you for watching till the end. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any upcoming horror videos.